Welcome back to On the Same Page. We are on Daf Yud Ches Amud Beis, 18b of Maseches Taanis. We are starting the third parak, the third chapter. And just like the last parak, where there was just one Mishnah at the very beginning, and then the rest of the parak interpreted that Mishnah in different pieces. So here also, it's set up that way. There's just one Mishnah in the beginning of the parak. If you look in the actual Mishnayos, then it's divided up into different Mishnahs, but in the Gemara, it brings it all as one long Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Seder Tainios Elu Ha'amor, this order of fasts that we mentioned earlier, where you go up slowly, that first you have just individuals fasting, and then you have everyone else fasting, and it's 3, then 7. Says the Mishnah, that's Berevia Rishona. That's with regards to the first rainfall. If it hasn't rained, the first rainfall, that's the process that you go through, the 3, and the 7. Aval tzmachim sheshanu, but if, let's say it's rained, and there's already tzmachim, there's sproutings, there's stuff growing, you have plants coming up, and then shanu, then they changed, and they start to go bad, so that's a different type of emergency. Then masrin aleim miyad, then we masriya, like we talked about, it doesn't mean to cry out, it doesn't mean to blow shofar or trumpet, so we end up saying it means to blow trumpets, or shofar, so they blow about that right away, meaning you jump right to the most serious type of fast in that situation, right? In the order of fasts, the Masriyan only occurred on the last 7, in the most serious, most severe situation. So in this situation where you have tzmachim, where you have things that are growing and then they start to go bad, so that's already, you jump right to the most severe form of fast, masriyin alein miyad. And you immediately fast in such a way, it seems it's talking about even a fast, and you cry out, and again, I think through the process of blowing a shofar or trumpets. Right, and that's what Rashi says, that kol chomer acharonos noeg, by all the stringencies of those last 7 fasts, you would apply already now. V'chein, and so too, shepastku geshamim, ben geshem legeshem arba'im yom. So too, if it rained and then there was 40 days drought after that, there was a 40-day break before it rained again, so that too, I guess before it rains again, that too would be cause for Masriyan to blow these trumpets, to jump right to the most severe level of the fasting process, mipnei shehi makas batzaris, because at that point it's considered a plague of famine. The Gemara will discuss what that means, why that is, but at that point, if you've gone 40 days without rain after it has already rained once, so then it's considered makas batzaris. It's considered a plague of famine. What about the following? Yardu l'tzmachin, if it rained in such a way that it's good for the low plants, avalo yardu l'yilam, but it didn't rain in a way that it's good for the trees. The idea is that different levels of rain, it seems, if it rains hard, if it rains soft, different types of rain could be good for the low-lying plants, others for the trees. So if it rained for one, but not in such a way that it's good for one, but not for the other, or the opposite, right? It was either yardo l'tzmachin avolo le'ilan, or le'ilan v'lo l'tzmachin. It rained for the low-lying plants, but not for the trees, or for the trees, but not for the low-lying plants. Or maybe it rained for both, avolo lebaros l'sichin u'lema'aros, but it didn't rain in a way that it could fill up the water reservoirs. These are all different types. A bar is a pig, a sichin is some kind of cistern, I think. A ma'aros is a cave. All types, it's talking about places where you can store water. So if it rained for the plants, but you don't have enough rain, you're not getting enough rain, maybe in a given rainfall. You need a real rainfall to fill these cisterns. If you never get that, so then again, masrin aleim miyad, you jump right to the most severe form of fast because you need the drinking water, you need the reservoirs of water, and if it's raining but not raining for that, that's a serious situation. You jump right ahead to the most serious form of fasting, you are masriya, you blow the shofar right away. V'chein, and so too, ir shelo yardu alei geshamim. If you had a city that it didn't rain in, but in other places it did, so that city also, it means that they're in a serious trouble. They're going to take severe steps. It quotes a pasuk tichsiv, as the pasuk says. We learned about this pasuk earlier in the Masechta. The pasuk says in Amos, it says, "V'imtarti al ir achas." I'll bring rain on one city, "Val ir achas lo amtir," and I won't bring it on another city. "Chelka achas timater," one portion will get rain, the other not. So, on the top of the next page, the Mishnah says, in such a situation where one city is getting rain and another city is not getting rain, Osa ha'ir misanet u'masras. That city that's in trouble, so they'll fast and they'll be masriya, they'll blow these trumpets. Now what about the surrounding cities which do have rain? So they are misanos v'lo masrios. They still have to fast, but not blow the truas, not blow the shofars. Now, why would they have to fast? Is it just to support their brethren? Not just that, but the idea is also that if the nearby city is in a famine and you're not, so they're all going to come for food from your city and you're going to run out. So it's also, if a nearby city is lacking, it's also a tragedy or a potential disaster for you, potentially, running out of food. So you also, in the nearby cities, they would also fast. That is the first opinion of the Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva said, Masrios v'lo misanos. They don't fast, they just cry out, they just blow the shofar, but they don't actually fast. And so too, Ir sheyesh ba dever, if you have a city that has pestilence, mapoles, or it has there's a terrible collapse, like earthquake. It doesn't say earthquake, but something falls over, so the walls cave in of the city, or buildings start to cave in. So that's also a challenging time. So osahayir misane umisras. Again, that city will both fast and cry out with the shofar. And the surrounding cities, misanos v'lo masrios, they would fast, but they would not blow shofar, blow truas. Rabbi Kiva says masrios v'lo misanos. The opposite again. They would blow trua, but they wouldn't fast. Ezo dever. Now, at what point is it considered a pestilence or a plague that's going through a city that you have to fast? So it says, it defines it. Ir hamotzia chamesh meos ragli. A city that can produce 500 infantry. In other words, there's 500 able-bodied men living in that city. So then, v'yotza mimena gimel mesim b'gimel yamim. 3 people die per day for 3 days straight. So then, in such a city of that size, that means that this plague is bad, it's a dever, and you would fast for it. Gimel yom zecher is at 3 straight days, harizeh dever, that's dever, and then you fast. Pachos mikan, but less than that, if less than 3 people on 3 consecutive days die, then ein zeh dever, it's not considered dever, it's not considered a pestilence for which you would fast. For the following things, they would cry out, blow shofar everywhere. Ala shidafon. If there was shidafon, it's a plague blight on the crops. Val ha-yerakon. Yerakon, from the word yarok, green. Rashi says the holy, some kind of green sickness that can come, I believe, again to plants. So it's some type of thing that's growing on them. Ve'ala arbe, for a locust plague. Ve'ala chasil, that's another kind of locusts. So for both of those, for all of these things, shidafim, yirakum, these sicknesses to the crops, as well as locusts, so you would fast and you would be masriya, you would cry out with the shofar. V'alachayara, or for wild animals that are threatening the city. V'alacharev, and for the sword, if there is a physical threat from an invading army. So again, you would fast, masriyan aleh, you would not just fast, but you would be masriya aleh, you would blow shofar to daven, mipnei sheimaka mahalechas, because these are walking plagues, meaning they can get worse and worse. Therefore, they're considered more serious, and you immediately fast. And you not only fast, but it has all the most severe laws, like the last 7 fasts of the series when it doesn't rain. Maisa, there was a story, Sheyardu Zakenim Yerushalayim L'Areim, that the elders of Yerushalayim went down to their cities. So I guess they were elders of Yerushalayim, but they didn't only live in Yerushalayim. The Gazur Taanis al Shenire Kimlo Pitanor Shidafim, and they decreed a fast because the amount, which is a small amount, just a pitanor, the face of the mouth of an oven, which was not a very large space, that amount of blight of shidafim was seen on crops. They say, even a small amount is it just gets worse. It's mahaleches. It gets worse and worse. So therefore, they fasted. Excuse me. When the Gemara says that the reason, the Mishnah says that the reason that it's because it's a makkah mahaleches, that it's a moving plague, it's actually giving the reason why they would fast everywhere. Even though, earlier we said if you have something in one city, it doesn't rain, the other city doesn't, it's not as serious, they don't necessarily have to fast one. Either they just blow shofar, Rabbi Akiva said they fast, but they don't blow shofar, but it's one or the other, it's not as severe as the city that's experiencing it, but if it's one of these things which is moving, it's contagious, or it's mobile, so then all the cities would fast, everywhere. B'chol makom, everywhere, they would fast. And now we have this story that they saw just a little bit of shidafim, a little bit of blight on the crops, the Ashkelon, the city of Ashkelon, and they decree a fast because that little bit can turn into a lot pretty fast. Ve'od gazru Taanis al sha'achlu ze'evim shnei tinokos be'ever hayarden. They also decree a fast when 2 wolves ate 2 babies on the other side of the Jordan. Rabbi Yossi says, Lo al sha'achlu ela al shanira. No, they didn't even eat them. But they were seen, wolves were seen in the vicinity, they're dangerous. They said, this is a threat, it's not just a threat to us, it's a threat to any city around. And so they decreed a fast as a result of that threat. Rashi says, Bo Ba'ir, they had entered the city, these wolves had entered the city, so that was frightening and dangerous, and they decreed a fast. Fine. Now we have a next section of the Mishnah. Al elu masriyan b'Shabbos. For these things you can be masriya on Shabbos. Now here we had an earlier Gemara that explained that masriyan here does not mean blowing the shofar, because you would not immediately resort to blowing shofar on Shabbos if you had trouble. Rather it means they would cry out. So even though we don't normally cry out on Shabbos, we don't have bakashos, we don't make requests of God, but for the following we would cry out even on Shabbos. Al ir sheikifua nachrim. One is if a city was surrounded by Gentiles, meaning it's under siege. O nahar, or there is the threat of a flood from a river. Ve'al asfina hamitarefes bayam, or you have a boat that is being run amok at sea. It's caught in a storm. So those things you would cry out even on Shabbos. Now Rabbi Yossi says, no, you can't cry out to God. You can't daven. You don't make bakashas. We don't make requests of God on Shabbos. But you can call out for help from others, but you don't cry out to God with bakashas, with requests on Shabbos. Again, the first opinion maintains that in these serious situations you would. Rabbi Yossi is saying, no, you only can call out for help, but you don't call out to God on Shabbos. Shimon HaTimni said, Af al hadever, that even for dever, for pestilence, you could cry out on Shabbos. The lahodulo chachamim, but the chachamim, the other sages, did not agree to that opinion, and maintained that even for dever, for pestilence, you gotta just wait till Shabbos is over before you cry out about that. Al kol tzara shelo tavo al hatzibur masrin alein, says the Mishnah, for any potential tragedy or imminent tragedy that it shouldn't come upon the congregation, masrin alein, and you cry out. Chutz meirov geshamim, except for too much rain. Too much rain, right? It could be dangerous. It could be, cause flooding. But for that, we don't have this masrian, this process of crying out, which again, seemingly it's not so clear because there's a little back and forth, but would seem to mean fasting, like we would on the last 7 fasts, including masrian, blowing shofar. But we're saying you don't do that. You do that for any tragedy that's going on, except for if there's too much rain. The Mishnah continues now with the story that relates to that point. It says, Maisa, there was a story, Sha'amr lo l'choni ha'ma'agal. They said to Choni ha'ma'agal, Choni ha'ma'agal was a great sage, as we'll see. He had a special connection to God. He's called ha'ma'agal seemingly because he drew a circle. But we'll see. I think that could mean a circle. So Hispalel, so they once said to Choni ha'ma'agal, this great sage, Hispalo sheyerdu geshamim, daven for rain. It was a drought. They said daven for rain. Amar lahem, he said to them, Tzu'u v'chnisu tanuri psachim b'shvil shelo yamoku. He said, go bring in your Pesach ovens so that they don't melt. There's going to be so much rain that it's even going to melt your clay, ovens that if you leave them outside. So he said, bring in those ovens so that they don't dissolve. Hispalel, and then he started to daven. Velo yardu geshamim, and it didn't rain. Ma'asa, right? He davened, it didn't rain. So what did he do? So he went to plan B. Ag uga, he drew a circle. Ve'amad besocha, and he stood inside the circle. Ve'amar lefanav, and he said before him, he said to God, Ribono shalola, master of the world, Banecha samu pneim alai, your children have put their faces towards me, shani kivim bayis lefanecha, because I'm like a member of your household, he said to God. He said to the master of the world, I'm like a member of your household. We're like this. Nishba ani b'shimcha gadol, I swear by your great name, she'eni zaz mikan ad sheterachem al banecha, that I'm not moving from here until you have mercy on your children. You say chutzpah, right? He says that to God. He makes a demand. I'm not moving from here until you have mercy on your children. And that's what it was, as we'll see. But it worked. Hischilu geshamim minatmin. The rain began to drizzle. Amar, so he's not done yet, says Choni ha'ma'agal, lo kach sha'alti. This is not what I asked for. Elo gishmei baris tichum aris. I want rain that will fill the reservoirs, that will fill the pits, the cisterns, the caves. Hisfilu leired bizaf. Now, the rain started to fall hard. Amar, he said, Lo kach sha'alti. I didn't ask for it to rain super hard. It was pouring. It was a torrential rain. He's like, I didn't ask for this. El gishmei ratzon bracha unidava. What I asked for was rain of blessing, of desirous, of nadava, generous. I want a good rain, not a torrential downpour. So yardu kitikna. Then it started to rain properly, and it kept raining, but not torrential. But it rained enough, it seems, that the Jews who lived in Yerushalayim in the lower areas had to move up to the Temple Mount because there was so much rain. Bova Amrulo, so they came to him and they came to Choni ha'ma'agal and they said, Kishim she'ispalalta aleim sheyerdu, just as you davened that the rain should fall. Kach hispal sheyochel lahem. So please daven also that the rain should go away. Amar lahem, he said to them, Tzu'u uru'u im nimches even hatoin. He said, you know how we'll know if it's enough rain? If the even hatoin has dissolved. Well, the even hatoin was a stone on which people would come. I believe if there was a lost object, they would come and place it there, or they would go there to announce it. Let's just take a quick look at Rashi. Rashi says, Evan Toin Haisi Rishalayim, Kol Mishavdol Aveda. Okay, Rashi doesn't tell us. If you lost something, I think you would come and ask for it there. You would come to the special stone. And he knew that if it got dissolved, then that meant there was enough rain already. That was the story of Choni Amagal, where he davened for rain, and so much rain fell, and then he davened that it should go away. But I guess, relating to the previous part of the Mishnah said that we don't fast if there's too much rain, but we could daven for the rain to stop. Shalcho Shimon ben Shetach. Shimon ben Shetach, another one of the great sages, sent to Choni Amagal, and he said, Ilmoli Choniata, if not for the fact that you are Choni, this great person, goes Rani Alecha Nidai, I would decree upon you excommunication. I would excommunicate you because of the way you behaved, because you were chutzpahdik. You spoke to God like that. Aval ma'es alecha. But what can I do to you? Shata mischata lifnei hamakom. You mischata, whine, you complain, you nag. God, v'oseh lecha ritzoncha, he does your will. So you were speaking in a way that was improper to God, but God answered you. So what can I say? Kiben shu mischat eladav. You're like a child who's nagging his father, begging his father. V'oseh leritzono. So the father listens. Ve'alecha kasev omer. About people like you, the verse says, the verse in Mishlei, it says, Yismach avicha v'imecha v'sagel Yolatecha. Let the father and mother rejoice, and let the child rejoice. I think that you have a special relationship with your Father in heaven, apparently, that you can speak to him that way, and he listens. But for anyone else, I would have, who behaved that way, I would have excommunicated them. That's what Shimon ben Shetach said. The Mishnah continues, and it says, after the words mastising again, it says, Hayu misanin. Let's say they were fasting. The yardu lahem geshamim, it started to rain. So do you finish the fast? Right? You're fasting so that it rains, but it rained. So do you finish the fast? So if it was kodem aneitzachama lo yashlimu, if it was before nates, before sunrise, then you do not finish the fast. La'achar aneitzachama, but if it only starts to rain after nates, the day has begun, it's after sunrise, then yashlimu, then you finish the fast. Rabbi Eliezer says, kodem chatzos lo yashlimu. If it's before midday, then you don't finish the fast. La'achar chatzos yashlimu. But if it's after chatzos already, if it's after midday, then you do finish the fast. Ma'aseh shegazer Taanis belud. There was a story where they declared a Taanis, a fast, in the city of Lud. V'yardu lam geshamim kodem chatzos. And indeed, it started to rain. The fast worked, the davening, the prayers worked, and it started to rain before midday. Amar lahem Rabbi Tarfon said, Tze'u ve'achlu v'shasu. Go out, eat, and drink, v'asu yamtiv, and go make us yamtiv, make a celebration, a holiday. V'yatsu ve'achlu v'shasu. And they went out, and they ate, and they drank, and they made it v'asu yamtiv, and they made it into a holiday. Ubo being arba'im, when the afternoon came, Karu Hallel Hagadol. They read the great Hallel, which I think refers to what we say on Shabbos, the Hodu Hashem Kitov Kili Olam Chasto. That entire paragraph, that parak of Tehillim, is referred to as Hallel Hagadol, the great praise, where we say Kili Olam Chasto repeatedly. Hashem's Chesed is forever. So we have in the story that Rabbi Tarfon is ruling like Rabbi Eliezer that Chatzos is the cutoff time. If it starts to rain before Chatzos, then after Chatzos, after midday, one is allowed to eat. Says the Gemara, Seder Tainios ha'elu ha'amor b'revia rishona. Right, the Mishnah had said, the first thing in this Mishnah was that the rules that we have spoken about in the previous chapters, where you do 3, 3, and 7, that order of fasts is only said about the first rain. That if it hasn't rained the first rain, then you fast in that manner. Viramini, ask the Gemara, we have a contradiction from a Brisa, because the Brisa says, Revia Rishona Ushnia Lishol Shlishis Lesanos. If it doesn't rain when it's supposed to rain the first time, and it doesn't rain when it's supposed to rain the second time, and then the third time it does rain, then that's when, so after the first 2 times you ask for rain, but only after the third time it's supposed to rain, so then that's when you fast. So the Mishnah could be read that it says Seder Taanis Elu Hamor B'Revia Rishona, that the fasts are with regards to the first rain. It sounds like even when the time of the first rain has passed, that's when you start to fast. But the Brisa says no, the time of the first rain has passed, the time of the second rain has passed, you're not fasting yet. You are just, you daven for rain. Only after the time for the third rain has passed do you then start to fast. So this seems to be a contradiction. So Amar Rav Yehuda Hachi Kamar. Rav Yehuda said this is what our Mishnah is saying. It's saying Seder Tainios Ha'amor, that order of fast that we said previously in the earlier chapters, Emasai. When is it kick in? When is it relevant? Bisman Sheyatza Revia Rishona Ushnia Ushlishus. It's when all 3 times have passed, the first time for the first rain, time for the second rain, time for the third rain, expected times where it should have rained by, and it hasn't, v'lo yardu geshamim, then you enact that series of fasts. Aval yardu geshamim b'revia rishona, but if it did rain the first time it was supposed to rain, v'zaru, when they planted, v'lo tzamchu, and it didn't sprout. This was not in our Mishnah, this part, but that it didn't sprout. Inami tzamchu, or it did sprout. The crops did sprout b'chazar v'nishtanu, but then they changed. They would start to look bad. That it does mention in our Mishnah. Masrin alei miyad, so that we would be masriya immediately. We would blow shofar immediately. We would immediately jump up to the third stage of fasting, the most severe, immediately at that point. So again, the Gemara had read our Mishnah to mean that Seder Taanis Elu Hamor B'Revia Rishona, that the order of fast is only for the first rain, if it didn't rain on the first expected date. But the Gemara said that's not true. We have a Brisa that says it's not until the third expected date. So the resolution is, right, Hachi Kama, really when it says B'Revia Rishona, it's really setting up for the following cases. Really what it means is if it didn't, what we said earlier was that in the previous chapters, if it doesn't rain, then you enact that series of fasts. So that's true if it hasn't rained the first 3 times. But here it talks about the Revia Rishona, the first rain, because it wants to bring out the next point, that if it did rain the first rain, but the crops didn't grow, or they did grow, but then they started to look bad, then you would immediately fast, even if the time of the third rain hasn't even come yet, but you would already fast. Amar Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman said, Davka nishtanu. It's only true if the crops change and start to look different, bad. Aval yavshu lo. But if they just dry out, then you don't fast immediately. So the Gemara says, Pshita, that's obvious. Nishtanu tanan. It says if they change their look. But if they dry out, there may be different ways to learn this, but one of Rashi's approach is if they dry out, then they're done. They're drying out. Why are you fasting? What's going to change? If they just change their appearance, they could change back. They start to look bad, but they could start to look good. But if they dry out, they dry out. So what are you going to do? And the Gemara is saying, Pshita, it's obvious. It says nishtanu. It says if they change, but not if they dry out. So the Gemara says, Lo tzricha. No, we need it for the following case. de'akun, where it got a kane, it got a reed still. It seemed to continue to grow. Ma'odatema, what might I have said? Akanta milsai, that if it looks like the stalk is coming in, that's meaningful. Even if it dried out, the stalk makes a difference. Kamash Malan, that's what Rabbi Nachman was coming to say, that no, that even if the stalk started to grow, but if it was dried out, so then we consider that there's no chance that it's going to undry out. This plant is not coming back, and therefore you would not fast, even though it's changed its appearance, but it changed to be dried out. Then you wouldn't fast. There's no point, even if the reed continues to grow, as opposed to if it was nishtana, if it just changed its appearance and started to look kind of different and bad. But then there's still the potential for it to come back, to return to how it looked, and therefore you would fast. Okay, thank you for listening.